Well, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy Epiphany Sunday. That idea where we get an insight and have an understanding that we didn't have before. And today we're focusing on the story of the Magi who followed a star and found the baby Jesus and what that may and may not mean for us as believers in the Christ. So I'm Reverend Kate Grace. In all of my New Year's glory. I'm the minister of congregational life here, and I'm kind of covering for Dan while he takes his last vacation day of 2018. And it's ready for a new year. We're really glad that all of you are here this morning, and it's our mission just to bring people closer to God and one another. I want to acknowledge, before we get into worship, some family news just to share with you. And one of our congregants, our friend Doreen, can you just on New Year's Eve, her son was found unconscious, and within a couple of days passed. And so we just want to offer you our condolences and our sorrow for your loss, and to let you know that we're here for you no matter what the coming days and weeks and years take. So thank you for being in worship. I know that's a hard thing to do on a day like this. So at this point, let's go ahead and greet all of our online worshipers. Yes, raise your hands and say hi. We're glad that you guys are here too. And let's go ahead and give our attention to Lee to share with us some announcements.
Thank you very much, Reverend Kateman. And before we get into announcements, I want to invite everyone to reach into a seat back pocket near you and pull out one of our peach colored keeping in touch cards, and please mark it, place it in the offering basket later in the service so that we have a record of your attendance and also know what's going on in your life, your care concerns and prayer requests that we can lift up for you during the week, and we're glad to do that. And moving on to announcements, coming up on our calendar is your opportunity to explore with others on your spiritual journey more about the Met, our mission, our vision, our core values, our history, our ministries, all of that at our next no-obligation membership class, which is this Saturday, January 12th, 10 to 11:30 a.m. in our first floor community room. If you have questions about it, just contact Lynn Malone in our church office, and she'll be happy to talk with you about it. If you have been wishing that you would join us in the challenge this year of reading the Bible throughout the year, a few chapters a day, starting on January 1st, not to worry, it's not too late yet. You can still easily catch up, and you'll find the study guide with the daily scriptures listed. You'll find copies of this on the information table in the social hall and also right by the front door. So we invite you to pick up a copy and to join us in reading the Bible throughout 2019. And as a separate or an accompanying seminar, we invite you to join our guest preacher today, Reverend Steve Ebner, along with Pastor Dan and Reverend Kateman and Dr. Donovan Ackley in reclaiming our faith through the Bible in 5 hours. And no, I have no idea how they're going to do it. No idea whatsoever. But you know what? With that much theological talent, I have faith that they're going to do it. So come and be a part of it. That workshop is Saturday, February 2nd, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. With lunch provided and with a $5 requested donation. For more information about that workshop, you can contact Reverend Kateman in the church office. Now, you noticed on our calendar a wedding coming up, and that's because you're invited. Longtime congregant Rich Stevens and his fiancee Ricardo are going to be married right here in the sanctuary on Saturday, January 19th by Pastor Dan at 3 p.m. And they have extended an invitation to all of you to come and participate. So mark that on your calendars. Join Pastor Dan in representing the Met at the 31st Annual All People Celebration, honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's Monday, January 21st at 10 a.m. in Balboa Park. They always have a great breakfast and a really inspiring program. Tickets are $75. We'll be ordering them soon. Just contact me in the church office, if you will. We have a couple beautiful floral arrangements in front of the podium this morning. The one that you see on this side is provided by David Root, and it's dedicated to Doreen Wood. And it's in honor of the passing of her son, Donovan, and it goes with our love and our hearts out to Doreen. And the arrangement that you see on this side is provided by Bill Blanchard, and it's dedicated from the staff to you, to all of you, for your prayers, your support, and your faithful stewardship throughout the year. And letting you know how much that is appreciated. And speaking of stewardship, we want to acknowledge that you did it. We'll have final figures next week, but we can announce, TC, a drum roll, that we ended 2018 in the green. And that's thanks to all of you. You know how much that is appreciated. And the last but not least announcement this morning is to invite our elementary age children to a Rainbow Sunday School to meet their teachers right here at the East Door, and off they go. Have a good time as we continue on with worship.
Well, good morning. Morning. As you're able, will you please rise and shine your light on the things next to you? May we let it shine brightly through our spirits as we walk the walk this coming year and days ahead. My Jesus, my Savior,
O come, let us worship the Lord and consider what wondrous things God has done. O come, let us worship the Lord and consider what wondrous things God has done. O come, let us worship the Lord and consider what wondrous things God has done.
Christ embodies the word, unveils the hidden plan,
Making us joint heirs of the promise of salvation through the gospel. O come, let us worship the Christ, for God has done wondrous things.
Please be seated as we prepare our hearts for prayer.
Let's take time now to quiet our minds and be still in this moment as we go God in prayer. Loving God, we come together to worship you on this first Sunday of 2019. Another year of mercies, faithfulness, and grace. Thank you for this opportunity for a fresh start, for a chance to look ahead at what we would like to accomplish in the coming year. As we seek to deepen our relationship with you, show us ways in which we can experience you in new and expanding ways. You are bigger than any box we try to put you in, greater than any limits we set upon you, more immense than all the ways we imagine you. We may feel stagnant in our relationship with you, stuck saying the same prayers in the same way, when and if we find the time to talk to you at all. Inspire us, God, to set aside time to place ourselves in your presence and grow in relationship with you. We humbly ask that you continue to bless our lives with abundance, with purposeful work and meaningful relationships, with healthy, pain-free days and time to enjoy life. Bless each of us with patience and focus as we strive to improve our health, grow our friendships, and multiply our finances, so that we may serve you, take care of ourselves, and be a source of support to others. In this new year, help us to refrain from looking back with regret, but instead square our shoulders towards the future and imagine with hope what lies ahead. Help us to seize this opportunity to set aside that which no longer serves us and replace it with habits that are healthier to our mind, body, and spirit. On this Epiphany Sunday, we are reminded of the importance of sharing gifts. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" help us to take stock of our many talents and treasures and ask, "What do I have? What can I give?" You blessed each of us with unique strengths and gifts. Help us to use those gifts with intention, Under your grace, as big and small, make a difference in our lives and the lives of others. Move us as individuals and as a community to continue working towards social justice and peace. Help us to transform the world with love and kindness. With gratitude, we acknowledge the many blessings we enjoyed last year. Thank you for the people we met, for relationships that were strengthened, and for the love we felt for one another. We remember those we lost and hold them up to you now. God, our rock, our hope, our safe place, our provider. When we feel like no one is listening, you are. When it seems like no one cares, you do. When we think no one loves us, you are there. Just as that bright star guided the three to Jesus, your light is a beacon calling us to you. Your plans for us are vast and beautiful. Give us the courage to step into your loving light and live to our fullest potential in the coming year. And now let us join our voices as we say the familiar prayer. Our Creator,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Veggie from the east, English person, asked, "Where is the child born? Whose? For we observed his star at the rising, and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him, and called together all the chief priests and scribes of the people. He inquired of them, where was the Messiah was to be born? They told him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for so it is written by the prophet, "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler, who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star they had been at the rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Now that they had left, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod, to fulfill what had been spoken before through the prophet, "Out of Egypt have called my son." This is the message of hope.
Praise to you, Creator Christ and Holy Spirit.
How many of you put up a nativity set this Christmas? Few of you. How many people watch Charlie Brown Christmas? Or have you seen it so many times that it's memorized? We all know the story, right? We know the story of how the birth of Jesus happened. Mary and Joseph come to the inn. The inn had no room for them, so the kindly innkeeper, seeing that we have a woman here who's 9 months pregnant. Is it working now? We have a woman who's 9 months pregnant. I guess you can stay in the manger, in the stable. So as they're in the stable, Jesus is born. The angels appear to shepherds out in the field, and so the shepherds decide they're going to come to the manger. They bring a few of the sheep with them, because there's always a few sheep in the nativity set, right? So they bring a few of the sheep with them. Apparently not the whole herd, but at least a few of them. And they get to the manger, and there in the manger we've got a cow. We've got we got a cow. We got a sheep. We got a donkey, maybe. And then as all of these, and the angels are around the manger, and then the star comes along. We got a star there hovering over the manger. There it is. See it? Right over the top of the manger. And then along come the Magi. And they bring the camels and the 3 gifts, as Lee Bowen pointed out to a few of us that were having a conversation a couple weeks ago. We're never really told that there's 3 wise men, but we assume that there are because they bring 3 gifts. We know there's 3 gifts. But so the Magi are there, the camels, the sheep, the cow, the donkey, baby Jesus, Mary and Joseph, and the angels are hovering around, the star is hovering on top of the manger, except that if you search the Bible, you will not find the story quite like that. It's a composite. We put together stories from different Gospels to come up with that. But it's become our holy story, especially after Linus shared it with us. It's become our holy story about how Jesus was born. And holy stories are important. But not every culture has the same holy story exactly the same way. If you look at the Gospel of Mark, you won't find a story about the birth of Jesus at all. Jesus was first on the scene as a full-grown adult. If you look at the Gospel of John, that goes the other direction. It starts before the creation with the Word who is with God and is God. And then goes to the adult Jesus. If you look at Luke, Luke is where you're going to find the shepherds and the angel and the manger and the inn that has no room. It's only Matthew that tells us about the Magi. And Matthew doesn't tell us about the shepherds. In fact, the 2 stories that we have of Jesus' birth in Luke and in Matthew have almost nothing in common except that Mary is a virgin and it happens in Bethlehem. Other than that, the stories are very different. And some places, that story is still celebrated in that way. In 2006, I had finished up in 2005, 2006. As a catastrophe claim adjuster, I had spent 10 months working on Hurricane Katrina and taken a 6-week road trip. And then been asked to go and work another 10 weeks working on a hailstorm in Indiana. So by the time the end of 2006 rolled around, I was pretty much exhausted with 100-hour weeks and some pretty continuous work. And I said to my wife, I want to go somewhere where I have no responsibilities. I just want to read and write for the next couple months. She said, let's go to Oaxaca, Mexico. I was thinking, like, Mobile, Alabama, in the United States. But she said, let's go to Oaxaca, Mexico. I never heard of Oaxaca, Mexico. So we went there, and we went to this country where I don't speak the language. Neither did she. And somehow, for 10 weeks, we met and greeted people, and we had a great time. But we discovered that some people celebrate Christmas very differently. The first difference was December 5th, the Feast of the Virgin of Guadalupe. And that's kind of a long story, I'm not going to tell it today. But that was very eye-opening to us. But then, starting on the 5th of December, and every night thereafter, as we would sit around the house we were renting, we'd hear band music coming off the mountain, echoing all the time. So we were curious, and after a few nights of that, we got in the car and we followed the streets around until we found where the music was coming from. And where it was coming from, where people would grab the band instruments and march around and have a parade every single night. And it appeared to be sort of impromptu. So we found it, and it looked to us sort of like a mixture of Halloween and Mardi Gras, because there were people in costumes and band instruments marching in the street, and they'd stop and they'd play a mini concert at a house, and the owner of the house would come out and throw candy, and all the people in the parade every single night. And in the city of Oaxaca, there were several parades every single day. And we discovered that you don't watch a parade in Oaxaca, you become part of the parade. So that whenever we would see a group of people coming down the street with whatever they were doing as part of the parade, they'd go over and grab you by the hand and they'd pull you into the parade, and you would end up where the parade ended up. Happened every day, up until Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve in the Zocalo, they had 12-foot high paper mache figures in the big parade there on I forgot to tell you about December 23rd. Well, I'm not going to tell you much about it, but December 23rd was Noche de los Rábanos, the night of the radishes, which sounds sort of like a bad horror movie. But that's a story for another time too. So then the 24th, we had Christmas Eve. That was the big celebration. We got up on Christmas Day, said, where are we going to eat? None of the restaurants going to be open. All the restaurants were open. All the stores were open. Christmas Day was business as usual. I thought, well, okay, that's the Christmas season. It's all done. No, it wasn't. We found out in early January, as we were taking a trip down to the beach, that as we passed these little villages along the way, they were having Christmas pageants, or what that's like Christmas pageants, where they have a child as Mary and a child as Joseph, and the Magi would be bringing gifts, and it turned out that they celebrated until January 5th, at which time they give gifts to each other. We don't all celebrate it the same. In Oaxaca, they keep it separate, because I guess they don't have Charlie Brown's Christmas on their TV. To tell them that all these people gathered in the manger together. So let's take a look this morning at what this individual story has to say to us, rather than looking at the whole Christmas story as we've made it a composite. So, Lee, okay, first of all, I like to ask questions when I'm reading the Bible. So the first question I ask is, why did Matthew decide to include this? And he's the only one who does. So why, of all the hundreds of stories that must have been circulating about Jesus in AD 85 after the birth of Christ that Matthew's writing this, why choose this particular story? And it has to do with, I think, the situation in life that the Christians found themselves in. The first part of that is that this is a time of a lot of church divisions. Part of the reason for that is that up until this time, the church is mostly Jewish people. And at this time, more and more non-Jewish people, more and more Gentiles are joining the church. That's creating some divisions, because some of the people are saying, well, you have to become Jewish first before you can be a Christian, and which doesn't even sound like something we would think about, but it was very important and it was causing some division. So here we have a story about these foreign people. They don't even practice the same religion. They're apparently astrologers from Persia, and they come and they join with the Jewish shepherds and the Jewish Mary and Joseph and Jesus in the manger. Well, in the Christmas story, let's say. So this is, there are no shepherds in this story, but the Magi come to Mary and Joseph and Jesus. There's a joining of Jewish and the non-Jewish together. The second thing is that the church is at this point moving to a second generation. And in the first generation, the Christian message appealed very strongly to poor people, mostly. People who were living on the edge of society. And as the second generation begins, more wealthy people, more people who are more in the center of society are starting to join the church. And so we have a group of magi who, though they're not kings themselves, they seem to be comfortable going to the palace to Herod. And we have some Jewish peasants, and they're coming together in the story. So I think that's one of the reasons why Matthew chose to tell this story. Let's go to the second slide. Now, why tell about foreigners who practice another religion coming to visit Jesus? And I think that some of the importance of that is, first of all, Matthew, the writer of Matthew is telling us that Jesus is for everyone, not just for our own little group. And secondly, that Jesus brings people together rather than pushing them apart. It's taking 2,000 years and we still haven't learned that. But Jesus brings people together rather than pushing them apart. It's obvious. These people are not the same at all. Mary, Joseph, and the Magi. Very different people, and yet somehow they're coming together around this child, Jesus. Let's go to the next slide. Now, why use the scriptures from the Hebrew Bible? Because there are two scriptures here that it says Jesus fulfilled these prophecies. First of all, that he would be born in Bethlehem. And secondly, that he would come out of Egypt. First of all, I think for Matthew tells us that we really can't separate Jesus from his Jewishness. We have to understand Jesus as a Jew. When he teaches, we have to understand the context in which he teaches and that he is, in fact, a Jew. And so often we forget that. We make Jesus into a middle-class American. You know, we can't forget that Jesus is a Jew, and he is, for Matthew, fulfilling Jewish scripture, the Hebrew Bible. Secondly, I got a couple words there that are pronounced Kal Wahomer. Our logical systems make sense to us. We tend to think in Western thinking. So we think, well, okay, when Hosea was talking about coming out of Egypt, he was talking about Jesus. We're going to find out in a couple of minutes. He wasn't. But Jewish logic, rabbinic logic, rabbis had a principle called Kal Wahomer. It means if it's true of the lesser, it's true of the greater. And both of these prophecies are Kal Wahomers. If we try to understand it with our Western minds, we're not going to get what Matthew's really saying. Let's turn to the next slide. Here's the first one, Micah 5. Now you will walk around with a wall, siege is laid against you, with a rod they strike the ruler of Israel on feet. But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, you who are one of the little clans of Judah. From you shall come forth one who is to rule in Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient days, and they shall live secure. For now he shall be great to the ends of the earth, and he shall be the one of peace. It's about the Messiah, but any Jew reading this knows who also came out of Bethlehem, King David. So, Micah here is saying the Messiah is going to be like King David, restoring the glory of Israel. The next one is even more so. Hosea. Okay. Now, Matthew says this is about Jesus. Take a look at it. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I have called my child. It's not about the Messiah, it's about Israel. Who is it that's come out of Egypt? Israel, the nation of Israel. That's what this scripture is about, except Matthew thinks it's a parallel moment. It's if Israel's come out of Egypt, so will the Messiah come out. Good Hebrew logic. What's true of the lesser is true of the greater. And I'm not sure in this one who's the lesser and who's the greater, but they're similar. If this is about Israel, it's also about Israel's Messiah, the Jewish logic. So let's flip to the next slide. Having laid out what I hope is a foundation, now I want to get metaphorical. It sounds like an Olivia Newton-John song. I want to bring up 2 points. One of the things that holy stories do is, in all cultures, the holy stories are not necessarily science textbooks. If you try to imagine how could it be that a star was moving along and then it stopped over the manger, and it stopped close enough that we know now the stars are suns out there, but how did it not burn the manger up when it stopped over it? You know, it doesn't necessarily make sense scientifically, but it does metaphorically. Because one of the things that Matthew was saying is they followed a star, and they thought the star was leading to the palace. But surprise, the star was leading them to a peasant's house in Bethlehem, 6 miles away. Isn't that amazing? If we think that Jesus came to reinforce the status quo, I don't know what gospel we're reading. Quite frankly, there's very little in the story of Jesus that reinforces the status quo. There's very little in the story of Jesus that says, let's keep things just exactly the way they are. Let's keep society ordered the way it is. There's very little of that. They started out for the palace because where else would you find a king? And they ended up in a peasant house in Bethlehem. And consequently, once they had arrived there, they went home a different way. Metaphorically, what's that mean for us? As we all follow stars, following a star for us means that we set a goal and we move toward that goal. And those of us who are a little more analytical, we set out the steps that are going to get us to that goal in a nice, neat order, and usually goes straight to the goal. But what happens along the way? When I was graduating from high school, I knew I was going to be a pastor of a church. So I went and I majored in biblical studies, and everybody who said to me, "Get a second major because you want a backup," I totally ignored them. Because I knew I was going to be a pastor, I was going straight to the goal. I majored in biblical studies. I did make it to being pastor for 11 years. In 1989, I left, and in 1990, I became a claim adjuster. And in many ways, my ministry as a catastrophe claim adjuster has been a better fulfillment of God's purpose for me than being a pastor was. There came a point where I said, I don't feel this calling anymore. I don't really feel that I'm making the contribution that I expected to make. So maybe it's time to go somewhere else. And I had to do a lot of mental gymnastics around that, because didn't God call me, and isn't calling for life? And isn't it really important that God's called me to be a pastor? And I had to understand that I probably didn't call me to be a pastor for a period. And now I've visited the palace. Now it's time to go to the different place. Now it's time to go to the peasant house in Bethlehem. Many of us, we start on that straight road to our goal, and we realize, oh, this is actually a winding mountain trail, and we have to make a few detours along the way. And so that very few of us actually get to where we expected to go and are satisfied with that once we get there. So following the star. And where we end up when we follow that star may be a very big surprise. One of the things that, first time I read the Gospels and read the stories about Jesus, when I was 14 or 15 years old, one of the things that struck me the most was, this is not the person I thought he was at all. And those of us who assume what Jesus is like, because of the people we've seen around us telling us what Jesus is like, are in for a big surprise when we discover who Jesus really is and what Jesus really said. Things like the first shall be last and the last shall be first. How can you maintain the status quo when the first are going to be last and the last are going to be first? When maybe God thinks it's more important, maybe God thinks the story of this homeless person on the street is more important than the senator who got elected on his Christian day, or her Christian day. Jesus surprises us. God surprises us. And surprised Magi when they ended up at the peasant house and not the palace. Always beware of court prophets. Court prophets who are trying to maintain those who are in power and control and back them up. I'm always suspect. I don't know about you, but I'm always suspect of those who speak God from a position of power, because I think often the people who are not in power have a clear idea of what God is saying to them. Second, okay, we're good. We're already there. Let's get metaphorical. Number 2, it's important that we come out of Egypt. Just like Israel comes out of Egypt, the Messiah comes out of Egypt, we also, that's our story too. That's our primal narrative. That's the story. The most important story to us is that we come out of Egypt. Every year when I was a pastor on the 3rd Sunday in January, close to Martin Luther King Day, I proclaimed it Freedom Sunday. But the problem was, if you went to the Methodist hymnal, you couldn't find any songs about freedom. It was like we knew nothing about freedom. In any of the 500 songs we had to choose from. You know where I found songs about freedom? In the African Methodist Episcopal. Because once we've been in slavery, we understand what it is to be free. Once our family, our ancestors can remember the slavery, that's when we start to understand freedom. It's when we've been in habits that we understand what peace means. So it's when we have been in an adverse place that we understand what it's like to finally have security. That's coming out of Egypt. That's our story too. That was always Israel's story. It became the Messiah's story. It's also our story. God calls us out of Egypt, whatever Egypt is for us, and I can't define that for you. But we all have something in our life that's Egypt that we need to come out of. We look to God to help us come out of it. And I'll stop there. We'll stop there. Come out of Egypt. That's what Matthew is telling us.
Thank you, Steve. As we continue with our worship, it's a time where we receive our tithes and offerings. It's a time where we count our blessings and we understand that we have been given much. And it's not a lot to ask to give to others. So as the ushers come forward, think about what you've been given and what you're going to do back. The ushers, please. Thank you.
He left the splendor of heaven. Oh, we, his destiny was the lonely hill of the there to lay down his life for me. If that is a love, the ocean is dry. There's no stars in the sky, and the sparrow can't fly. If that is a love, then heaven someday. There's no feeling like this. If that is love. Even in death we remember the thief hanging by his side. And he's full of love and compassion. And he took him to paradise. And if that is love, and the ocean is dry, there's no stars in the sky, and the sparrow can't fly. And if there is love, then heaven's amazing. There's no meaning like this. If that is love, and if that is love, then the ocean is There's no meaning like this. That is in love. There's no feeling like this. Oh, it's gone to be
Please pray with me. Loving God, we give you thanks for these tithes, for these offerings. We give you thanks for our blessings. May these offerings and our blessings continue forth to bless others in a way that they can